Today, we're counting down our picks for junk food and drink fails. Fails include financial missteps, but also questionable dietary choices and things that are just frankly kind of gross. New Coke.
Research firm ran a taste test between Coke and Pepsi.
Have you ever heard the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Apparently, the Coca-Cola company had not in 1985, when they decided to change the Coke formula. Sure, Coke had been losing market share to Pepsi, so maybe in their minds, it was broke. Either way, they fixed it, kind of. The initial response to the new taste was positive, but once the southern states got their hands on it, the backlash was mighty. It was so intense that Coke brought back the old formula within 3 months as Coca-Cola Classic. Candy cigarettes. Kids today will know them as candy sticks, but back in the 20th century, and even as far back as the late 1800s, they were straight up called candy cigarettes. Many even had a red tip to mimic a lit cigarette. These things are pure sugar with very little flavor, but if we were judging a product solely on its longevity, then candy cigarettes would not have made the list. However, in this case, it's safe to call these things a failure to our children, especially children of the previous generation, who, according to various surveys, were more likely to take up actual smoking if they'd been consumers of candy cigarettes. Number 28 to 7-Up Gold. 7-Up has always been clear-colored, and its marketing slogan for many years was, "Never had it, never will," with the "it" being caffeine. If you're confused by the decision, you're not alone. Consumers in 1988 were seemingly just as confused by it, and they basically decided that they never had it and never would, with it being 7-Up Gold. The product was discontinued within a year. 3D Doritos. Sometimes, like with the first Avatar movie, having something in 3D can actually make it a better experience. And other times, it's just a gimmick. 3D Doritos is much more the latter. Don't get us wrong, we love Doritos, but Puffing product had a decent 6-year run from 1998 to 2004 before being discontinued. However, in 2020, they were back, in both chili cheese nacho and spicy ranch flavors. And if nothing else, the return of the chip provided us with a great Matthew McConaughey Super Bowl commercial. Cheese Whiz. This one might be a little controversial, as we know that there are people out there who love Cheese Whiz, and those that love it really love it. The fact is that this is a bright orange, processed cheese spread, and to call it cheese is a stretch, which is probably why they spell it with a Z. Although, to be fair, it would seem that when the product was introduced in the 1950s, it did contain a good amount of actual cheese. We aren't sure when that changed, but it did, and it was noticeable. Dean Southworth was on the development team that created Cheese Whiz, and in 2001, he tasted the current product and explained that it tasted like axle grease. Pepsi Blue. In 2001, Mountain Dew introduced their Code Red flavor and saw a nice bump in sales. When Pepsi saw that, they decided that they too needed a brightly colored version of their soda, and in 2002, the world got Pepsi Blue. However, while Code Red is still going strong today, Pepsi Blue was off store shelves in North America by the end of 2004. Pepsi promoted the hell out of the new Blue product, and while the company saw growth, the product did go down as a failure. Not to mention the fact that they used the Blue One coloring agent to get the soda's bright color, an agent that was even at the time banned in numerous countries. That's 2 fails in 1. Pepsi. Lay's cappuccino flavored potato chips. In 2014, the Lay's Do Us a Flavor contest came down to 4 new flavors: mango salsa, cheddar bacon mac and cheese, wasabi ginger, and cappuccino. The winner was wasabi ginger, but say the cappuccino just lost would not be doing it justice. To some of the comments Lay's got on their Facebook page regarding said flavor, how do nasty and gross sound? Not good when talking about how something tastes, right? The Today Show even did a taste test among their staff, and while one person called the cappuccino chips not unacceptable, there was an acknowledgement of a rather unpleasant aftertaste that stuck around for a while. Coors Rocky Mountain Sparkling Water. The Coors Beer Brewing Company has been brewing their beer using Rocky Mountain spring water for well over 100 years, so back in 1990, when the bottled water industry was raking in the cash, they decided to get in on it. The problem was that the Coors name in the marketing and put it right there on the bottle as well. We're sure it tasted fine, but with so many options out there, who would grab the bottle of water with the beer name on it? Not many people, it turns out, because Coors Rocky Mountain Sparkling Water was discontinued. Swedish fish Oreos. Yep, this was actually a thing. You know how Oreo loves putting out limited edition flavors? Well, back in 2016, they gave us Swedish fish Oreos, with a bright red Swedish fish flavored cream sandwiched between two classic chocolate cookies. So, what did they taste like? Well, according to various reviews, words like waxy, artificial, cherry, slimy, and cough syrup were popular descriptors. We appreciate Oreo's willingness to take chances and bring us all kinds of flavor options we never would have thought possible, but they can't all be hits, and Swedish fish Oreos was definitely one of their bigger misses. Surge soda. If imitation really is the sincerest form of flattery, then the Coca-Cola company was really flattering Pepsi in 1997 with the release of Surge soda. Mountain Dew, which was owned by Pepsi, was growing fast, and Coke wanted something to compete with it. The original codename for the product was MDK, or Mountain Dew Killer, but such over. Not to say Surge didn't have its fans. In fact, it had some very dedicated fans who were loud enough to get Coke to re-release Surge in 2015. Happy for these folks, but the aggressive marketing and the extreme sports, it all feels like an off-brand Mountain Dew to us. Pringles restaurant cravers mozzarella sticks and marinara. We love a good serving of mozzarella sticks in marinara sauce as much as the next person, but did we really need them in the form of a potato chip? Pringles certainly thought so. The chip brand once launched a line of flavors dubbed Restaurant Cravers, focusing on classic entrees and appetizers like onion blossom and Mexican layered dip. Unfortunately, mozzarella sticks and marinara doesn't translate nearly as well to chip form. The joy of mozzarella sticks is rooted in texture. Why disrespect the cheesy, gooey nature of this timeless appetizer by turning it into a powder-coated chip? That's just blasphemy. Pepsi AM. When it comes to revolutionizing the concept of the morning beverage, there have been far more spectacularly bad ideas. There are a lot of people who struggle to face the day without a morning dose of caffeine, hoping to cash in on this demand and maybe even convert some coffee drinkers. Pepsi unveiled Pepsi AM in 1989. To be clear, this wasn't some revolutionary new type of beverage. It was good old-fashioned Pepsi Cola with the caffeine level jacked way up. If your stomach is churning at the thought of starting your day with soda, you are not alone. It was discontinued just 1 year later. Lay's Wow Chips. It's amazing how far some companies will go just so they can plaster their food with healthy labels like sugar-free or 0 calories. Fortunately, changing a tried and true recipe is risky business, as Frito-Lay learned the hard way with their Wow Chips lineup. In 1998, Frito-Lay made special bags of chips that were fat-free, but this supposed benefit came at an immense cost. Since the chips were made with olestra and regular cooking oil, customers not only digested fewer calories than regular Lays, but they also began suffering from stomach cramps and diarrhea. Around 2004, Frito-Lay renamed the lineup as Light, with a slightly new formula. Hubba Bubba Bubble Jug. The Hubba Bubba brand has certainly put out some strange products, some of which have really resonated with consumers, like bubble tape. But the Hubba Bubba Bubble Jug? Not so much. These miniature containers housed a powder that would turn into gum when you added water. In other words, it was kind of like a Frankenstein pixie stick. What makes the product off-putting is that you're basically chewing pure sugar until it becomes a homogeneous, chewy substance. And while the gum that you wind up with is the same old Hubba Bubba, that initial mouthful of chunky powder is a serious turn-off. Budweiser Extra. Can we just keep it to one vice at a time? In the early 2000s, when energy drinks were all the rage, the king of beers decided to jump on the bandwagon by pumping a variation of their ever-popular beer full of caffeine, boasting 6.6% alcohol, a hearty dose of Kafka, and body mixed messages. Leaving aside the fact that numerous studies have proven caffeinated alcoholic beverages to be incredibly dangerous, this brew was just downright disgusting. Oh, and they also like to refer to it as Budweiser B to the E, like someone's deeply uncool uncle, you know, just to make you cringe twice as hard while drinking it. Colgate Kitchen Entrees. Just as we blasted Coors for not being smart enough to realize that keeping the Coors name on their sparkling water bottles was a bad move, so too do we need to give Colgate the due. We're talking about Colgate Kitchen Entrees. Yes, the toothpaste company making frozen dinners. At least Coors had a connection to the Rocky Mountain water. The only connection Colgate has to frozen food, or any food for that matter, is brushing it off our teeth before we go to bed. At least from what we can tell, the frozen lasagna did not taste minty fresh. True blood. For starters, say, false advertising. This carbonated beverage isn't, in fact, blood, human or otherwise. However, it is a tie-in to the hit HBO series, True Blood, and the blood beverage that the vampires in the show consume to quench their insatiable thirst for. Die-hard fans of the series, this remarkably accurate-looking replica is sure to get their hearts pounding. Cato Milk Chocolate Bars. How do you like your chocolate bars? Do you like them loaded with peanuts or crispy rice, frizzled and caramel coating cookie bits? Well, then Cato Milk Chocolate Bars are not the decadent sweet you've been searching for. While most chocolate companies offer a variety of products in which chocolate is combined with peanut butter, wafers, or other candy, Cato chose to load its chocolate bars with cheese and onion crisps. We're no strangers to sweet and savory treats like Ben & Jerry's late-night snack ice cream, but chocolate with chips that taste like cheese and onions. Count us out. Maxwell ready-to-drink coffee. Introducing a beverage that nobody needed. Making simple add hot water to ground coffee beans in a filter, and voila! Alternatively, stop at a drive-thru on your way to work if you're really pressed for time and don't care about quality or taste whatsoever. Instant coffee can be made well instantly with these options available. Taking coffee and putting it in a cardboard carton to then be poured out into mugs and reheated in the microwave had no justifiable reason to exist. In the end, it wasn't quicker or more convenient, and it certainly did not deliver a superior taste to a fresh brewed pot. Burger King Shake Cheesy Fries. When Taylor Swift tells us to shake it off, we listen. But in the early 2000s, when Burger King wanted us to shake up our fries, people were not as keen to obey. This is how it works. First, you dump your fries into the bag. Then you add as much dehydrated cheese powder as you want, shake it all up, and voila! Cheesy fries. Not to mention the cheese powder all over your fingers, and if you aren't careful, everything else. It didn't take long for Burger King to shake this one right off of their menu.